That hospital monitor sound hits like a punch to the chest. Damn, it's scary. A tiny baby lies in the bassinet, skin wrinkled, body frighteningly thin. Oh, my heart. What happened to this little angel? Every breath looks like a battle. Near the door stands Ethan Crawford, billionaire industry shark, but right now, he looks destroyed. Hands shaking, face buried like he's trying not to break. Damn. Seeing a powerful man crumble like that? Hits different, doctors whisper. Nurses exchange helpless looks. Nobody moves. Nobody knows except her, Grace, the maid. Gloves trembling, eyes full of tears, but determination too. She lifts the baby gently. I'm not letting him go. Not today. Raw silence. Ethan lifts his head, shocked, hopeless. But maybe, just maybe, believing her. Before this nightmare hospital moment, there was peace. There was routine. There was hope. 2 weeks earlier. A black sedan rolled through the iron gates of the Crawford estate. You know those mansions where even the mailbox looks rich. Damn, goals, right? Inside sits Grace Bennett, hands folded neatly in her lap, nervous but determined. Her uniform pressed perfectly, shoes polished, hair tied back, the look of someone who takes pride in every breath they take. Someone who's worked hard for every dollar, every inch of dignity, all. She looks like the type who'd hug you before you break. She steps out, and wow, this place is massive. White marble driveway, fountains, a garden that probably costs more than a car. Grace inhales deeply. Okay, girl. New chapter. Don't mess this up, she whispers to herself, half laughing with nerves, because to her, this wasn't just a job. This was survival. Her own son, Malik, is home with her sister. She needs this paycheck to keep him fed, safe, dreaming big. And little did she know. The sick baby inside this mansion? Yeah, he would soon become her world. And she'd become his miracle. Inside the mansion, whispers followed Grace everywhere. But the loudest truth? Baby Leo wasn't just sick. He was fading day by day. Aw, that tiny body didn't deserve this. Ethan stood over the crib, eyes hollow. This house has everything, except the one thing money can't buy, he murmured. Damn, his wife was gone. His son was slipping. And Grace might be their last hope. Grace didn't storm into this mansion trying to be a hero. She came in quietly, like sunlight slipping through a window no one noticed was dark. Every morning she checked on baby Leo first. Good morning, sweet prince, she whispered softly, brushing a finger across his cheek. Ah, his tiny eyes trying to open, heart melting. She sang soft lullabies, old songs her grandmother used to hum on porch swings back in Georgia. Sometimes Leo would blink, focus, and there it was. A tiny, tired smile. Barely there, but real. Damn, that little spark could break you and heal you at the same time. She didn't just serve the rich, she cared for the unnoticed, too. When the gardener slipped and scraped his hand, Grace rushed over. Don't move, I got you, she said, cleaning and bandaging the cut. The man chuckled. You're like an angel around here, miss. Grace laughed softly. Angel? Hee. I don't know about that. But Leo seemed to know. He calmed in her arms in seconds, like his soul recognized safety. This wasn't nanny work. It was love work, and love is powerful medicine. But love wasn't enough. Not yet. Every day, Leo's little arms felt lighter. His cries weakened. Even his breathing sounded tired. Oh, seeing a baby fight for every breath? It punches your soul. Doctors came and went with tablets and cold stares. Rare metabolic issue. Unknown progression. We're running tests. Big words. Zero comfort. Damn. Ethan signed papers, called specialists, ordered equipment. He was trying. Hard. But hope kept slipping through his fingers like sand. Grace watched silently, jaw tight. Medicine mattered, yes, but something else was missing. Warmth. Touch. Human presence. I've seen healing like this before, she whispered to herself, remembering her own fragile son once fighting to live. Babies don't just need medicine. They need love to survive. And she was ready to fight for Leo, even if nobody believed her yet. Every morning, Grace moved gently through the nursery. Warm towel, soft massage, tiny sips of milk. She counted every breath, literally. 1, 2, 3. Slow, shaky little gasps. Ah, poor baby. She hummed while folding blankets, eyes never leaving Leo. Something was wrong. Not just medical wrong. Soul-level wrong. Then she walked in, Olivia Crawford, Ethan's sister. Pearls, sharp perfume, sharper tongue. One look at Grace holding Leo and her face twisted. Ew. The judgment was instant. So the maid thinks she's Florence Nightingale now? Her voice sliced the room. You're overstepping. This is a medical case, not a nanny cuddle session. Damn. The storm had officially entered the nursery. From the moment Olivia entered that nursery, the mansion's atmosphere shifted, like someone cracked open a freezer. Cold, sharp, judging. And Grace felt it. Oh, she felt it deep. Olivia didn't shout. No, she did something meaner. She smiled. You must be... Grace. That tone, fake sweet, dripping with superiority. Ew, that voice could curdle milk? Grace nodded respectfully. Yes, ma'am. I see, Olivia murmured, eyeing her like she was scanning a stain on expensive carpet. Then she leaned closer to baby Leo. My poor nephew. Surrounded by amateurs. Damn, low blow already and we just started. Every morning floors glistened like mirrors. Staff moved like ghosts, silent, polished, terrified of making noise. Fresh white orchids arrived daily. Even the air smelled expensive. Jasmine, honey, and that I have too much money scent. Meanwhile, baby Leo? He breathed like each inhale was a battle. And Grace? She brought warmth into a world built to look warm but never be warm. She didn't march around like staff. She walked with purpose, heart leading. And yeah, that made people stare. Olivia especially. Ethan sat in his office downstairs, phone glued to his ear, stress dripping from his voice. Get the specialist from Zurich. I don't care the cost. Just fly him. Damn. Money was his weapon. Panic was his fuel. Upstairs, Grace kept routines gentle. Humidifier mist, soft rocking, warm palm on Leo's tiny chest. The way he calmed when she touched him. Man, love is medicine. But Olivia? She watched from the doorway, arms crossed like she was auditioning for Villain of the Year. One would think, Olivia whispered sharply, that a billionaire's heir wouldn't need lullabies and superstition. Grace smiled softly. No superstition, ma'am. Just comfort, Olivia scoffed. Ha! You think that fixes metabolic collapse? Grace didn't answer because fighting wasn't her skill. Healing was. By lunchtime, staff whispering had begun. The maid is overstepping. She acts like the baby's mother. Olivia is furious. Did you see how the baby only calms for her? Weird. Ow! Gossip spreads like mold in mansions, silently and quickly. One maid whispered to Grace, Girl, be careful. Rich people love you until they don't. Grace just hugged her notebook tighter, scribbled notes about feeds, breathing rhythms, skin tone changes. Everything. She wasn't guessing. She was documenting. She was fighting for this baby in the way she knew. At night, the mansion lights dimmed into a warm, golden glow. But warmth? Nowhere. Just high ceilings, echoing footsteps, and silence heavy enough to choke. Grace took late nanny shifts, hummed gospel lullabies, prayed silently in corners where cameras didn't reach. Ah. A woman with faith and heart versus a world with marble and money. Meanwhile, Olivia checked in constantly, meaning she popped into rooms like a horror movie jump scare. Still here? Yes, ma'am. Don't get comfortable. Damn, lady, take a nap or something. And yet, every time Leo whimpered, Grace was there. Every tiny gasp, she responded like a mother lion. One evening, something beautiful happened. Leo's hand, that tiny, weak hand, curled around Grace's finger. His breathing slowed. His eyelids fluttered, relaxed. Oh, literal heart-melting moment, and Olivia saw it. And oh boy, the jealousy in her eyes? Like someone stole her spotlight. What did you do to him? She demanded. Grace whispered, just held him. Olivia scoffed so hard you could hear the ego hit the floor. Emotional theatrics. No, sis, it's called love. You should try it sometime. Late one night, Ethan walked in unexpectedly. He froze at the door, watching Grace rocking Leo, her voice low, warm. Leo breathing steady against her chest for the first time in days. Relief washed across Ethan's face. His shoulders dropped. Eyes softened. Damn, fatherhood humbles even titans. Grace, he whispered. You're the only one he trusts. She didn't brag. She didn't beam. She just held the baby tighter and whispered, I'm not letting him go. And right then, the real battle line had been drawn. Not medicine versus illness. Not rich versus poor. Not employer versus maid. But ego versus empathy. And empathy was just warming up. The first real explosion didn't happen with screaming. It started with a cry. A tiny, weak cry. Leo's voice trembling like his body was begging for help. Grace rushed over immediately, scooping him into her arms. Hey baby, I got you. Shh. And like magic, love magic, he slowly relaxed against her shoulder. But right behind her, heels clicked. Oh no, Olivia. Arms crossed, chin high. Eyes sharp enough to slice marble. So this is what we're doing now? She sneered. A sick child choosing the maid? Her voice dripped with disgust. Oh, chill, lady. Grace kept rocking the baby gently, but her heart raced. She whispered, he just needs comfort. Comfort? Olivia scoffed. No, he needs professionals. This isn't some daycare hug session. Damn. Then Ethan walked in. Perfect timing, or worst timing ever. He froze, seeing the scene. Baby calm in Grace's arms. Olivia glaring like a villain in a soap opera. Why does he only stop crying with her? Olivia demanded. Is she manipulating him? Trying to secure her position here? Wow. Accusing a woman comforting a baby of scheming? That's low, even for her. Grace didn't speak. Didn't argue. She just held Leo, eyes soft but shining with hurt. And in that quiet moment, Ethan looked torn. Between science and instinct, between status and humanity, between his sister's certainty and Grace's quiet truth. The next morning felt different, heavy, quiet, like the whole house was holding its breath. Doctors crowded around charts. Nurses whispered in corners. Machines hummed like nervous insects, and Grace? She sat in the rocking chair, Leo curled against her chest, tiny fingers clutching her shirt like life itself. Awe. Protect this baby at all costs. Ethan paced the hallway, phone glued to his ear. We need another lab panel. No, I don't care about cost. Run every test again. His voice cracked halfway. Damn. Rich or not, a father is still a father. That's when Dr. Sterling walked in. Tall gray hair, ego bigger than the mansion elevator. He scanned the room like he owned it. His eyes landed on Grace, lingering, cold, judging not her actions, but her existence. Why is she holding the child? He asked sharply. Oh! The tone was racially dipped. You could feel it. Grace stood slowly, respectful but steady. He calms with contact. It helps his breathing, Dr. Sterling chuckled. The kind of laugh that isn't funny, just cruel. So now we trust folk remedies? Folk. Wow. Code word detected. Loud and clear. A nurse shifted uncomfortably. She heard it too. Grace swallowed but didn't flinch. Babies need emotional care. Stress worsens metabolic function. Research supports. Research? Sterling cut her off. You read research? Then under his breath, but loud enough. Unbelievable. We're letting domestic staff play nurse now. Damn, that one stung. Grace blinked fast. Fighting tears she refused to let fall. Leo whimpered, sensing tension. She rocked him gently. Shh. You're okay, baby, Ethan finally noticed. Sterling. She helps him. Leave it, Sterling smirked. You're desperate, Ethan. Grief clouds judgment. Silence hit the room like thunder. Even Olivia looked uncomfortable. Just for a second. Then she regained her icy composure. Dr. Sterling is right, she chimed. We need science, not emotional theatrics. Grace stared down, breathing slow. Not weak, controlled. She'd been disrespected before. But this time, a baby's life was tangled in their bias. Suddenly, Leo coughed. A soft wheeze. Then again harder. Grace instantly adjusted him, hand supporting his neck, patting gently. Ethan froze. Nurses moved. Sterling hesitated. The baby slowly settled. His tiny body pressed into hers like she was home. Ah, that kind of trust? You can't fake that. Every adult in the room saw it, felt it. But only Grace embraced it. Sterling finally exhaled, annoyed that reality didn't match his arrogance. This is foolish. I'll recommend isolation protocol this evening. Wait, isolation? Meaning taking the baby away from Grace? Oh, hell no. Grace's eyes widened, fear sparking into fire. Ethan's jaw clenched. And Olivia? She smirked. The line was drawn. Love versus ego. Warmth versus status. Life versus image. And this time, it wouldn't end quietly. The tension didn't simmer. Oh no, it boiled. By afternoon, the mansion felt like a pressure cooker. Nurses avoided eye contact. Assistants whispered near doorways, then froze when Grace walked past. Damn. People act bold until truth walks into the room. Grace sat with Leo in the nursery, humming a soft hymn, just trying to keep his little heartbeat steady. The way he clung to her shirt again, that tiny grip could shatter a soul. Then the door opened. Nurse Helen, the senior charge nurse. Older stern face, but eyes still held some warmth. She'd seen worlds rise and fall inside hospitals. She wasn't cruel, but she was tired, and tired people follow rules, not hearts. Grace, Helen said softly, we need to reassess care protocol. Grace looked up, every muscle tight. Meaning? Helen sighed. Doctors think too much emotional dependence isn't healthy for him. Excuse me, what? Oh, sometimes medical logic sounds like villain logic. Grace stood, holding Leo protectively. He's calm with me. He's breathing steady. You take him away, he breaks. It's procedure, Helen whispered. We have to consider emotional separation if it's interfering with medical work. Damn. So because she cared too well, she was now a threat? Grace shook her head, voice trembling but strong. He doesn't need separation. He needs safety. He needs warmth. He needs... Click! A phone camera blinked on from the hallway. Olivia, recording, smiling like she already planned the headline. Evidence, she said sweetly. In case we need to show the board how the help is interfering. Ugh, this lady is allergic to peace. Helen stiffened. Olivia, stop recording. No, Olivia snapped. The world deserves to see this nanny trying to play doctor. Grace's eyes watered, not from weakness, but fury and heartbreak mixing in her chest. She whispered, I'm not trying to play anything. I'm trying to keep him alive, Leo whimpered, tiny voice shaking. Grace held him close instantly, and his breathing steadied again. Even Helen noticed. Her face softened, just a little. Then Ethan appeared at the door. He didn't shout. He just stared. At Leo's tiny, peaceful face in Grace's arms. At Olivia's phone recording like a weapon. At Helen's hesitant guilt. In that silent moment, you could feel it. Grace was no longer the maid. She was the lifeline. And everyone in that room knew it, even if some hated to admit it. The next morning hit like a slap. Cold, sharp, unwelcome. Grace walked into the study after being requested. Yeah, that kind of request where you can't say no. Ethan sat behind his mahogany desk, hands clasped, eyes heavy. Not angry, just broken. Damn, heartbreak makes even rich people look small. Grace, he said quietly, you've done more than anyone. Oh, here comes the emotional punch. But the doctors, they think your presence might be interfering. Interfering? With life? Oh, the logic here is rotted. So, he continued, voice shaking, we'll still pay you for the full month. You can take a leave, rest, be with your son. A paid exit. A polite way to say get out. Grace swallowed, eyes burning. Hands shaking, white, but her voice? Solid, no sir. He needs me. I'm not leaving him. Everyone else ran to science. Grace stood by Love, and damn. Love just refused to move. Grace barely slept. Honestly, who could... Her heart felt like it was tied to Leo's tiny ribs, every weak breath tugging at her soul. Damn. Motherhood doesn't need blood to be real. By sunrise, she was back in the nursery, humming low, rocking him gently. Leo's chest rose slow, shaky, but peaceful in her arms. Ah, little fighter. Door swings open. Boom! Olivia again, of course. With her, Dr. Sterling, 2 nurses, and a household manager who looked like he practiced saying, "I just follow orders" in the mirror. Grace felt it instantly, that chill. Like the room wasn't hers anymore. Like love was suddenly trespassing. Sterling cleared his throat dramatically. Fake concern soaking every syllable? We're implementing separation protocol. Effective immediately. Grace's stomach dropped. Separation? From a sick baby who only calmed with comfort? Ooh, what kind of heartless science project was this? Leo whimpered, almost like he knew trouble was in the room. Grace held him closer. Shh, I got you, baby. Stay with me. Olivia stepped forward, arms crossed like a villain CEO audition. You've gotten too attached, she said, voice sugar-coated poison. It's unprofessional. And frankly, inappropriate? Inappropriate? Oh, hell no. This woman had the emotional intelligence of a stapler. Grace whispered, I just care. He needs comfort, Olivia smirked. Comfort? Or attention? Then she leaned in close, too close. You people always overstep when you get a little trust. Wow, there it was, not even pretending anymore. Damn, that sentence hurt the air. Nurse Helen entered behind them, eyes tired, guilt swirling like a storm. Grace, they ordered it. I can't stop it. Grace stood tall, even with fear shaking her bones. If you take him from me, his breathing will crash. You've seen it, Sterling waved dismissively. Correlation doesn't imply causation. Hand him over! Leo's breathing hitched again, panic rising. His little fingers clutched Grace harder. A tiny cry escaped, weak, painful. Oh God, baby. Grace's eyes filled, but she held firm. No, he's scared. Then Ethan appeared, and sleep-deprived, shirt wrinkled, tie gone. He froze at the doorway, watching, Leo crying. Grace shielding him. A room of cold eyes waiting to snatch the only warmth the baby knew. What's happening? He demanded. Sterling jumped in. We're removing emotional interference, Olivia added sweetly, for the baby's survival. Grace looked at Ethan, pleading silently. Sir, please don't let them. Look at him! Leo pressed his face against her chest, gripping her shirt like life rope. His cry hit Ethan like a punch. Damn! A father feels truth before he knows it. Olivia rolled her eyes dramatically. Oh, come on! Infants don't choose attachments. This is manipulation, Grace snapped, softly, but with fire in every syllable. I don't manipulate babies. I protect them. Sterling extended his arms like he expected Grace to just surrender life itself. Give the child! Grace backed up one step. Instinct, love, fear, all tangled, and then the baby gasped. A sharp, terrifying choke of air. Everyone froze. Grace reacted instantly, adjusting his head, patting lightly, whispering comfort like a prayer. Leo settled almost instantly in her arms, silence, heavy, powerful, unavoidable. Even Sterling blinked. Olivia's face cracked, confusion mixing with irritation. Helen's lip trembled, hope fighting protocol. Ethan exhaled shakily. Like he just watched his son fall off a cliff and get caught mid-air. Grace whispered. See? He needs love, not distance. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed, and in that stillness, the truth wasn't a theory. It was alive, pulsing in Grace's arms. Warmth versus power. Heart versus ego. Life versus rules. And love just won round one. Loudly, silently, beautifully. Tension didn't fade. It curdled. Later that afternoon, Grace stepped into the kitchen to warm a little herbal mixture she'd carefully made. Soothing fennel and chamomile, ingredients her grandma used for weak babies back home. Natural, safe, gentle, all. Grandma wisdom always beats Google sometimes. She placed the tiny jar on the counter for 1 second, to wash her hands. Then she heard it. A gasp, a dramatic Oscar-level gasp. Oh, my God! Olivia stood there holding Grace's jar like she just found radioactive sludge. Ooh, the drama was unreal. What is this? Olivia shrieked. A potion? Some back alley concoction? Her voice shot through the kitchen like a broken fire alarm. Grace blinked, confused but calm. It's natural. For digestion. Babies use it safely. Babies? You mean our baby? Olivia snapped, waving the jar like she was swatting flies. What are you trying to do, they witchcraft? Poison him? Experiment on a billionaire's heir? Oh wow, we jumped straight to witchcraft? This woman binge-watched one TikTok conspiracy and lost her mind. Staff gathered in doorways, whispering. Phones came out. Because of course. People don't help, they record. Damn society. Grace reached gently. Ma'am, please give it back. It's harmless, just herbs. Oh, I bet, Olivia hissed. Herbs. Right. And next you'll say prayer and hugs cure illnesses too? Grace didn't flinch. They help more than fear does. That one hit Olivia like a slap. Her face twisted, ego wounded, claws out. Suddenly Ethan walked in mid-scene, eyes darting between them. Olivia pounced immediately. She's sneaking illegal substances. We caught her, look! She shoved the bottle toward Ethan like she discovered a crime scene. Grace's voice trembled but stood firm. It's safe, I swear. I used it when my son was premature. It saved him. Ethan paused. Hand hovered. Brain fought heart. Science battled instinct again. Leo whimpered upstairs, faint but real. Grace turned instinctively toward the sound, and that one tiny cry, it cracked the room open like lightning because everyone, even Ethan, could hear it. Leo wasn't calling for science. He was calling for her and Olivia. Just realized she might have crossed a line she couldn't return from. The house felt like a storm cloud was sitting on its roof. Heavy. Humming with tension, ready to crack open and wreck someone's life. And spoiler, it wasn't going to be Grace's. Grace walked back toward the nursery, herbal bottle still in Olivia's tight, offended grip. Leo's tiny cry echoed soft and desperate. Oh, that sound felt like a plea, like he knew people were deciding his fate without him. Ethan followed slowly, torn. You could see the war behind his eyes, money versus instinct, doctors versus a maid's heart, fear versus faith. Damn, wealth doesn't make decisions easier. Sometimes it makes them uglier. In the nursery, Leo's breaths were shallow. His chest rose slow, like each inhale was a negotiation with life. Grace's hands trembled, but her steps? Steady. She moved like a mother, not a maid. I need to hold him, Grace whispered. Dr. Sterling blocked her path. No physical contact. We must observe symptoms without emotional interference. Observe. Bro wanted to study a suffering baby like a lab rat? You? Olivia smirked quietly behind him, thinking she'd finally won. Grace clenched her fists, but instead of yelling, she did something scarier. She spoke calmly. When my son was born early, machines kept him alive. But love kept him fighting. Skin to skin, warmth, whispering his name. Her voice cracked. Babies don't just need oxygen. They need reasons to breathe. The room froze. Helen's eyes softened again, cracks in her professional armor showing through. Even Ethan swallowed hard. Sterling rolled his eyes. Oh, please. Modern medicine saves lives, not bedtime stories. Grace stepped closer, fearless now. Then why is he getting worse in your hands and better in mine? Oof, direct hit. Even Olivia flinched. Ego taking damage. Sterling stiffened. We are the experts here. If you interfere again, we will involve hospital security. Wow. Threatening the only person the baby trusts? These people were writing their own downfall in bold letters. Leo cried again, weak, broken, heartbreaking. Grace's lips trembled. A tear finally escaped, but she didn't wipe it. She let it fall, shining like truth. I don't care what you take from me, she whispered, voice shaking like a prayer in a storm. But you won't take my chance to save him. Ethan's eyes darted between them, panic rising. He looked ready to explode, to pick a side, to make a choice life would never let him forget. The air vibrated, like fate was inhaling before speaking. Someone was about to be humbled by God, love and truth in one strike. And the clock? It was out of mercy. Next breath. Next tear. Next word. The reveal was marching toward them. And oh boy, it wasn't coming quietly. The world didn't explode. It didn't scream, it paused. Like the universe took a breath and whispered, "Watch this." Leo's cry stretched through the room again, soft, painful, like a tiny soul begging not to be left behind. That sound. It hits you in places you didn't know existed. Grace's hand twitched, instinct ready to run to him. Sterling lifted his palm like he was the king of medicine. "No, step away." Olivia folded her arms, satisfaction dripping off her like cheap perfume. "We follow protocol. Now." Ethan's eyes darted between them. Fear, doubt, love, all swirling like a storm he couldn't control. His jaw clenched. Something in him. Cracked. Wait, one word, sharp, heavy, commanding. Sterling turned, smugness evaporating. "Mr. Crawford?" Ethan stared at Leo, then at Grace. That baby looked like he was fading right in front of them. Damn. Time felt cruel, Grace whispered, voice trembling. "Let me hold him." "Just for a moment, please," Olivia scoffed. "This is ridiculous." She's emotionally manipulating. Then Ethan snapped, low, dangerous king in his castle tone. "Enough." Wow. Even the air flinched. He walked to Grace, eyes soft, hands shaking. "You've been the only one who could soothe him. I can't ignore that." Olivia blinked, like someone unplugged her arrogance for a second. "Ethan, no." "This is absurd." "She's just say it." His voice dropped to ice. Olivia froze, swallowed, stayed silent. But Sterling wasn't done embarrassing himself. "This is emotional bias. Trust data, not desperation." Ethan turned slowly and, ooh boy, if looks could fire people, Sterling would already be eating ramen and Googling jobs that don't require dignity. "You know what I trust?" Ethan said, stepping closer. "My son's instinct." He walked past Sterling and Olivia, straight to Grace, and placed his trembling hand over hers. "Hold him." Grace exhaled like she had been drowning underwater for hours. She lifted Leo carefully, gently, and the second his skin touched hers, silence, peace, a breath from heaven. Leo's tiny chest eased. His tiny fingers curled into her shoulder. Ah! That moment could make a grown man cry. Ethan saw it, felt it. It hit him like truth dipped in lightning, but life wasn't done delivering karma. Footsteps approached, confident, calm, precise. A woman in a crisp suit entered, badge around her neck. "Hospital administrator?" "Nope." "Chief pediatric specialist?" "Director of neonatal research," and, the actual top expert they flew in from Europe, the one Sterling claimed they didn't need. "Mr. Crawford," she said warmly, nodding at his son. "I reviewed the video footage your staff sent, including emotional response logs and physiological stress spikes." She glanced at Sterling with a tiny smirk. "Oof. Someone's ego just tripped on science. This child is experiencing metabolic failure, triggered by chronic stress response vulnerability. Skin-to-skin comfort isn't optional. It's medically necessary." Boom. Science just backed love like a boss. She turned to Grace, eyes soft. "And you're the stabilizing attachment figure. You saved him." Olivia's jaw on the floor. "Sterling?" Looking like a man who Googles his own license number. Ethan, eyes full, jaw shaking. Grace, tears finally falling, not of fear but relief. Then Ethan said the sentence everybody in that mansion needed to hear. From this moment forward, nobody questions her role. Grace didn't just win. Love and truth just body-slammed ego, status, prejudice, and cold science in one glorious moment. And the world was about to watch the fallout. Silence soaked the room for a full 5 seconds after the specialist spoke. Not calm silence. The oh crap tables just turned silence. You could practically hear Olivia's ego deflating like a busted luxury car tire. Psst, bye, pride. Grace didn't move at first. She just held Leo against her chest, breathing with him. 2 hearts sinking like they'd been doing since day one. That little sigh he made, like he finally felt safe again. Sweetest sound on earth. Ethan stepped closer, voice low but firm. We follow her lead now. Boom, just like that. Sterling opened his mouth, probably ready to argue, but the specialist cut him off with surgical precision. If you interfere with attachment therapy, I'll have your privileges reviewed. Oop! Man shrunk instantly. Damn. Olivia stood stiff, trying to pretend she still had authority. You can't just... I'm family, Ethan turned, eyes cold enough to freeze boiling water. You've done enough. Ew, the embarrassment. Olivia looked like she suddenly understood the meaning of sit down and be quiet. Grace's knees nearly buckled from relief, but she stayed strong. Leo's small hand patted her collarbone like he was comforting her this time. Oh, my heart can't handle that. The specialist reviewed Grace's notes, the handwritten, love-driven data no one respected earlier. These observations are excellent, she said. Grace blinked, shocked. Olivia choked on air. Sterling actually looked offended by science respecting a maid. Get over it, sir, the specialist nodded professionally. We will create a care schedule based on her model. Emotional bonding intervals, skin-to-skin contact, calm environment, herbal support pending lab clearance. Herbal support? Olivia's eyes widened like someone just waved garlic at a vampire. Wait till she finds out chamomile isn't a felony. Ethan exhaled, rubbing his forehead. Grace, I owe you more than I can express. Grace shook her head. I just did what he needed. And you were right. The words hit deep. Damn, respect looks good on him. Suddenly the mansion didn't feel cold anymore. Lights felt warmer. Staff whispered different things now. She saved him. She knew before the doctors. Maybe kindness is medicine. Look at that. Brand new culture unlocked. Level up, Nurse Helen stepped forward quietly. You've taught us something today. Her voice trembled. Not weakness, humility. Grace smiled softly. We all just want him to live. Even Olivia looked shaken. Face pale, mascara slightly smudged like karma tapped her in the tear ducts. She didn't apologize. Not yet, pride dies slow. But the panic in her eyes? The world was shifting under her heels. And she felt it. Then it happened. Tiny, almost invisible but world-changing. Leo lifted his hand. Just a little. Just enough to touch Grace's cheek. Oh! Ethan covered his mouth, emotion hitting him like a freight train. Oh, God. His voice cracked. I thought I was losing him. Grace kissed Leo's forehead softly. You're not losing him. He's just been waiting to feel safe. Sterling stared like science just slapped him with a Bible verse. Bro wasn't ready for emotional biology. Olivia took one shaky step back, like truth physically pushed her. Ethan finally said the magic words. Grace. From this moment, you're not staff. You're part of this family. Damn. That line hit different. Even the walls felt it. Grace's breath caught, eyes shining. Not because she wanted status, but because the baby she loved finally got protection from more than her two hands. Leo cooed softly, a tiny sound, but powerful enough to reset the whole mansion's heartbeat. And in that moment, Grace wasn't the maid. She wasn't the help. She wasn't the overstepper. She was the protector, the healer. The heart and the wealthy world around her just realized something priceless. Money builds houses. Love saves lives. Peace lasted like 12 hours. Because when truth enters quietly, the world usually follows loud. The next morning, Grace was holding Leo in a sunlit corner of the nursery, humming softly as he rested peacefully, breathing deeper, skin warming, absolutely thriving. Ha! Look at him go, little superhero. Then buzz, then more buzzing, then nonstop buzzing. Phones everywhere went off, nurses, staff, Ethan's phone vibrating like it owed somebody money. Even Olivia's phone dinged so fast, it sounded like popcorn in the microwave. Ethan checked his screen, froze. Breaking news, billionaire heir saved by housemaid. Doctors questioned. Damn, that escalated quick. Then more headlines. Miracle Maid? Emotional therapy outperforms elite medical team. Baby nearly removed from life-saving care. Insider leaks conflict. Hospital specialist confirms love saves lives. Olivia's jaw dropped so wide you could probably park a Tesla inside it. What? How did this even get? She sputtered. Haha, girl. Karma has Wi-Fi and 5G clips from security footage leaked. Grace holding Leo. Leo stabilizing. Sterling barking orders. Olivia accusing. Sterling rolling eyes at research. Grace speaking quietly about her premature baby and love as medicine. Twitter went feral. Fire that doctor. This maid deserves a medical medal for... Plot twist, money doesn't heal everything. Is Olivia allergic to kindness? Oof. Internet said say hello to Judgment Day. Then celebrity mom influencers jumped in. I need her on my care team. She's a baby whisperer. OMG. Cue mommy blog takeover. Oh, moms assemble! Hospitals across the country began posting. We stand with compassionate family care and emotional attachment science. Translation, they saw the internet and scrambled to look good. Meanwhile, at the Crawford corporate headquarters, board members. Sir, the whole city is talking about this. Ethan. Good, they should. And then it happened. A live news van rolled up outside the mansion. Reporters swarmed the gates like bees on mango juice. Is it true the maid saved the air? Can we interview her? Did the hospital almost take the child from her arms? Olivia panicked. Oh my gosh, shut the blinds. Too late. A photo snapped of her peeking like a suspicious raccoon in pearls. Ew, embarrassing. Grace looked overwhelmed. Sweet soul just wanted to hold the baby. Not trend next to Beyoncé memes. Ethan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You didn't ask for attention, he whispered. You earned respect. Growth looks beautiful on him. The specialist arrived again, this time with media credentials escorting her like she was royalty. We need to publish this case, she said. This could change neonatal protocols worldwide. Worldwide. Grace blinked, hands shaking. Heart full, she didn't save Leo for the world. She saved Leo because Leo needed saving. But if the world learned from it, then this little miracle was already bigger than pain. And somewhere across the mansion, Olivia felt her reputation sliding into a hole and whispering, Bring snacks! We're staying a while! The fallout didn't trickle. It raged. Within 24 hours, the hospital went into lockdown mode. Not for Leo, for their own careers. Boardrooms filled up. Lawyers circled like vultures. Public statements were drafted with the kind of care people use when covering a crime scene. Damn, crisis theater, right? First came the internal review. Hospital leadership convened an emergency ethics panel. Footage was pulled. Shift logs were audited. Emails were subpoenaed. Dr. Sterling, who had barked about protocol and ordered separation, was immediately placed on administrative leave pending investigation. He walked out with a briefcase and a stunned, reddened face, like a man learning humility is not a surgical option. Ew, karma suits him oddly well. The chief pediatric specialist who backed Grace, elevated. Her team published preliminary findings. Chronic stress worsened Leo's metabolic markers. Attachment therapy reduced stress hormones within hours. The scientific community did what it does best when scandal meets data. They double-checked, validated, and then amplified. Hospitals across 3 continents asked for protocols, papers, and the specialist's phone number. Wow! Science with a mic, public relations departments imploded. The hospital issued a statement. We apologize to Mr. Crawford and his family for any distress. We are reviewing all policies to ensure compassionate, evidence-based neonatal care. Translation, we messed up, and the internet made sure everyone heard it. Haha. Reputations hit fast online. Sterling's professional licenses were flagged for review. Colleagues who once nodded at his pronouncements now murmured about arrogance and bias. A whistleblower email thread leaked, the kind that ends careers. There were ethics complaints, a pending external audit, and a reputation hemorrhage no amount of white coats could staunch. Damn, pride and stethoscopes don't mix well. At the mansion, Olivia's social life combusted. Her name trended in one of the nastiest ways possible. Memes, screenshots of her dramatic witchcraft moment, and redo voiceovers of her eye rolls. Former friends posted polite distancing statements. PTA moms who once smiled at her brunch invitations now unfollowed in a digital exhale. Even family texts she thought private leaked into group chats mocking her behavior. A slow, relentless social shaming began, and it was merciless. Ew. That public shame smell is acidic. Ethan used his leverage, and not for vengeance, but for structural change. He convened a task force, hospital partners, neonatal researchers, and caregiving advocates. Funding flowed, grants earmarked for attachment therapy research, caregiver-led protocols, and a new neonatal wing at the hospital named, quietly, modestly, for Grace's son. The legal team negotiated settlements with injured families. Protocols were rewritten. Hospitals adopted mandatory bias training. Medical boards issued advisories on the role of emotional care in fragile infants. Systemic change moved from hashtag to hospital policy in weeks. Oh, change that actually changes things? Rare and beautiful. Olivia's consequences were swift and messy. She wasn't a hospital employee, so she couldn't be fired from a trust, but she lost status. The Crawford family removed her from any decision-making role. Her social calendar shrank. Corporate partners she'd leaned on for influence quietly rescinded invitations. A PR firm suggested a public apology video. She recorded one, voice small and eyes rimmed red, promising to learn and do better. The internet judged it performative. Her phone still buzzed, but mostly with cuts from formerly friendly contacts. That apology? Flat. Too little, too late. Then came the legal ripple. The hospital faced regulatory fines, and one family filed a civil suit citing negligence, arguing emotional harm from forced separation in other cases. The law doesn't move as fast as social outrage, but it moves deliberately. Audits were launched and policy changes followed. Sterling's legal defense scrambled while his peers updated their CVs and LinkedIn bios to distance themselves. Lawyer fees? Cha-ching. Reputation cost? Priceless. Meanwhile, and this was the real pivot point, Grace's life changed. Offers poured in. Interviews, speaking invites, research fellowships. Humanitarian groups reached out. She accepted one request quietly. A fellowship to train caregivers in attachment techniques for fragile infants, paid for by a philanthropic trust set up by Ethan. She turned down glitzy TV offers. Instead, she invested in community clinics in neighborhoods where parents couldn't afford neonatal support. Heart doing cartwheels. Her foundation, Hands That Hold, launched pilot programs within 6 months. Hospitals that once doubted now invited her as a consultant. Neonatology journals published case series. Policymakers called her to testify. The tiny act of holding a baby became a movement. Wow. From Maid to medical messenger, the arc was cinematic but real. And Olivia? She learned the hardest lesson. Influence without empathy is brittle. Her social world, built on status, offered no scaffolding when the bridge collapsed. Meanwhile, Grace built something permanent. Community, science-backed care, and a shield for babies who needed human touch more than headlines. The crash was complete. Empires of ego toppled in boardrooms and DMs. Institutions updated manuals. Families whose children had been separated demanded reviews. The industry changed syllables. It spoke of attachment and dignity where it had once quoted procedures and protocols. In the end, the quiet woman who held a baby became louder than the loudest man in the room, not by shouting, but by saving life. And the world had to listen. Damn. That's the kind of win that rewires systems. 12 months later, the sun rose differently over the Crawford estate. Not heavy, not sterile, not tense. Warm, soft, alive. Like the house itself finally exhaled. The front lawn, once silent like a museum, was now filled with laughter. Wheelchairs, baby carriers, doctors, nurses, mothers, fathers, tiny toddlers chasing bubbles. A huge white banner stretched across the garden, Hands That Hold, 1-year milestone event. Damn, who would have thought a maid's arms would start a revolution? Inside, Grace buttoned Leo's tiny baby shirt, chuckling as he wiggled like a happy worm. Aw, calm down, little man. We gonna be late, she teased softly. Leo squealed, healthy, glowing cheeks, chubby arms, eyes bright like sunshine discovered inside a small human. Yeah, chubby. The same baby who was fading like a candle in a storm. Now looked like he could arm wrestle a chicken nugget and win. Ha ha, okay, maybe not wrestle. But still, the transformation? Violent in the best way. Grace kissed his cheek. You saved me just as much as I saved you, she whispered. And her eyes sparkled, not with struggle this time, but gratitude. Outside, guests stood clapping as Grace carried Leo out. His tiny hand waved at everyone like he knew he was the prince of second chances. Nurse Helen walked up first, her voice shaky, eyes glassy. You changed me, she whispered, hugging Grace. You changed all of us. Grace smiled humbly. I didn't do anything alone. You did, Helen insisted softly. You reminded us what medicine forgot. Damn. Respect hits different when earned through pain and love. Next came the chief specialist, crisp suit, brilliant smile, and yes, still humble enough to kneel and kiss Leo's tiny hand. One day, young man, you will speak about what your mommy of the heart taught the world. Leo giggled and grabbed her glasses. Oh, okay, buddy, relax, she laughed, wiping her eye. Around them, families clapped, phones recording. Journalists interviewing parents whose premature babies survived thanks to the touch and trust protocol Grace inspired. What saved your child? One reporter asked a father. Connection, he said simply. Human touch. Then he pointed at Grace. That woman right there? She gave our world hope again. Goosebumps. Literal goosebumps. Then Ethan stepped out holding a framed certificate. He looked healthier too, less stressed, more human. He cleared his throat, voice thick with emotion. A year ago, I almost lost my son, he began. But before medicine understood, love did. He turned toward Grace, eyes shining. You were his miracle, and you are ours. Damn, that speech had fight-back tears energy all over it. He lifted the certificate. Grace Bennett, Honorary Director of Infant Emotional Well-Being. Crawford Medical Foundation. Oh, what a title. She didn't become staff. She became leadership, applause thundered. Kids clapped, doctors nodded, parents cried. Olivia, yes, she attended, stood in the back, hands clasped nervously. She waited, then walked forward slowly. Everyone watched, expecting drama. But her voice was tiny. Cracked. Grace! I'm sorry. The crowd held its breath. Wow. Redemption arc? I let my fear and pride blind me. You showed me what real strength is. Olivia swallowed. Thank you for saving him, and for showing me who I should have been. Grace didn't embarrass her, didn't drag her. No ego, only warmth. I forgive you, Grace whispered, hugging her gently. Oh, dang, forgiveness hits harder than revenge ever could, Olivia cried quietly. Healing isn't always loud. A ribbon was cut. Cameras flashed. A plaque was unveiled. Hands That Hold, founded by Grace Bennett, where science and love grow together. Small embroidered blankets sat on tables. Books teaching skin-to-skin care. Images of nurses hugging babies. Scholarship certificates for single mothers training to become neonatal assistants. Grace gave a small speech. Not grand, not practiced, just heartfelt. I wasn't meant to be here, she said softly. I was just a woman trying to save a child. But sometimes, that's enough to change the world. Her voice trembled. Never underestimate the power of a person who loves deeply. In a world full of machines, sometimes the most important heartbeat is the one you hold close. Oh, tears everywhere. Even the tough dads blinked fast like, nah, bro, I just got dust in my eye. Kids rang little bells. Parents held their babies tight. The moment felt holy. Later, as the event ended, Grace sat under a magnolia tree with Leo sleeping peacefully on her lap. Ethan joined her, looking at his son with that soft father-heart smile. You gave him life twice, Ethan whispered. Grace shook her head. No, God did. I just held him, Ethan smiled. And through that, you held me too. Oof. Emotional knockout punch. They watched families loading into cars, nurses laughing, kids chasing butterflies. Joy didn't live in machines anymore. It lived in touch, trust, love. Leo stirred softly and cuddled deeper into Grace's chest. "Oh, stop, my heart is leaking," Grace whispered to him. "You are meant for big things, little one. And I'll be right here, always cheering for you. Now, dear viewer, your turn. In a world full of noise, be the arms that comfort. Be the voice that speaks love. Be the heart that stands up when others look away. Because sometimes one gentle soul can rewrite destiny. Drop a comment. Has someone ever believed in you before the world did? Subscribe to join more powerful true-style stories where humanity wins. Share this story with someone going through a hard time. Remind them miracles don't just happen. They are made. And remember, you never know whose life you are saving when you simply choose to care. Fade out. Soft music. Baby giggle. The world just got a little kinder.